What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, so I wanted to share with you a poll that I put out on Twitter, and this is a very non-scientific, very small sample size of 70 people on Twitter. Okay, that where I asked a simple question: do you bot your main or secondary Splinterlands account? So basically, are you involved with botting in any way, shape, or form? And out of the 70 people, you had 40% saying yes. Now, what's interesting about this, and I will say that the audience that I'm connected with on Twitter, or the following there, is probably very engaged with the game, probably very similar in terms similar to me in terms of, you know, how much time they spend, how much research they do, all of that stuff. So I'm actually not surprised, one, by the results, but at the same time, 40% is so close to 40% is a lot closer to 50-50, right? Is close to half of the player base than I was expecting. Now, are there probably many players out there that do not, you know, and I would assume, let me put it this way. I would assume that players who, you know, either don't have the time or resources to run multiple accounts, or if, you know, they just are casuals with Splinterlands, they don't even care about ECR. They'll just hop in every day, every couple of days, play a couple matches, earn some cards, and call it that. I don't want to say that they're outliers. Obviously, they would be added to the no category, and I actually think that they probably wouldn't even be voting on this because they would be so casual that it would be somewhat negligible at that point, right? But at the end of the day, the number 40% would probably go down if you start to add in all of those other, we'll call them real players, who are way, way more casual than the rest of us who are in it every single day, right? Up to our knees. So again, I was surprised because botting culture has just become so mainstream since this summer. And I know when we talk about botting, there's a lot of different shades to it, right? Some of it that, you know, people look at as good, some of it people look at as bad, some of it is just whatever the case is. And so, you know, obviously I'm not trying to paint botting in all one picture here, because there are a lot of different ways to go about it. Now, bot farms, I think for the most part, people will look at that and say that they are not helpful for the game. Now, I'm being very careful to say that they're not allowed or illegal or unethical, because again, they are within the terms of service, and I am not trying to go after bot farms. So at the end of the day, though, what are they doing? They are staying within the terms of service. They are, at this point now, buying cards, leveling up those cards to earn at certain levels, consolidating or whatever they need to do, and then continuing to farm a lot of the rewards. What they end up doing with that doesn't really matter. Obviously, if it's extracted from the ecosystem, that hurts. And I'm sure that happens a lot more often than not. But, you know, for the most part, I would say that people aren't really big fans of bot farms. Now, botting your own account, or maybe you have like a secondary or third account that you'll throw some extra cards over into and bot. People will look at that and generally say, well, that's not too bad, right? I think that's fine. It allows me to earn something on my assets instead of renting them out. And especially with soulbound reward cards coming in, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a little bit more of that as people set up secondary accounts or third accounts to start building up these accounts, whether they want to flip them in the future or just earn, you know, at higher levels at some point. They're starting now. I wouldn't be surprised. And most of the time, I would think that people are not generally against that, right? Again, I know I'm generalizing a lot in here, and I would love to hear your opinions if you're strongly against or for any of these different things. And then finally, there is the botting that happens at the high level, right? So similar to, like, I'm playing in Diamond right now. I'm botting my account for, you know, most of the battles. I'll go in and I'll do my brawls, I'll do my tournaments, or whatever the case is. But for most of ranked play, I'm botting. But the high level botting that happens, most people don't really care about it from a ranked reward standpoint. But when it comes to the tournaments and brawls, I think you'll get a lot of folks, myself included, that will look at that and say, sure, it's not against terms of service, but it is very anti-competitive. And so, you know, my whole thing, and I was talking about this earlier today, is like, I'm not trying to go after bot farms. My whole thing is, can we create a place in which we can have can we create a place where we can have like a safe space for humans, right? At the end of the day, it would be interesting to see that would look like from a KYC, non-bot or bot banning. Again, there will always be ranked play, but what will it look like if we were to have real players go in and play? So that's actually probably for a separate video or a separate topic that I can get into at a later time. What I wanted to share though was the results of this poll, and it's just fascinating to me because 6-7 months ago, you asked anybody about botting, and it was either taboo or it was something that was very much frowned upon, and people thought that it was destroying the economy. And I'm not saying that it did or it didn't. I think that there's certainly elements from like massive bot farms that extracted that definitely hurt the economy. But the attitude was completely different there. And I don't think that you would find anybody at that time that was defending botting, right? I mean, there were few people, especially in the math chat, and they would usually get, they would usually draw a lot of ire from the rest of the community being like, well, you're just extracting, well, you're this. And I don't think it's fair to necessarily, accuse those folks, because if they're speaking up about it, sure, they may have like a large enough bot farm, but I would assume that if you are running like a massive bot farm and you're extracting value from the game, you're going to keep your head down. You don't want to talk to anybody, right? Because you're just making your money, you're burning cards, you're selling them on the market, whatever the case is, and then you're pocketing the cash, right? So why would you want to get in the crosshairs of anybody? You just be super quiet about it. So at the end of the day, it's interesting to see the culture shift towards botting, and that it hasn't changed. And if anything, my worry is as we round the corner of 2022 and go into 2023, we'll only see this continue to increase. There's a slew of extra cards that everybody's getting. People are buying packs from, the bulk sales and with Winterfest and all this right now. And sure, you might, most folks like myself don't even have a maxed legendary or maxed chaos set. So I'm not looking to set up separate accounts. But for many other folks who do have the capital, who already had max decks, they're looking at this as an opportunity to say, well, let me set up some more bot accounts. And I don't view that as bad necessarily, right? Again, I'm not even saying bot farms are bad. I think that there are definitely some bad actors and some bad, or I don't even want to say bad actions, but actions that resulted in something bad for the for the economy when it comes to bot farms. But ultimately, when it comes down to this, I wonder where the culture of botting will go with a game like Splinterlands over the next 12 months, because I think it's just changed so drastically within the last 12 months, really within the last 8 months, because I would say that it was in like Q2 of this year that we were having those conversations of bots bad. And then all of a sudden, I'm gonna put him in the spotlight, but Tales from the Cryptmancer makes a video. He's like championing this, like, bots are tearing up the ecosystem, and then he makes a video about the Archmage bot, and all of a sudden now everybody loves bots, right? So again, I watched that video, and all of a sudden I was interested in botting my account. So it's just fascinating to see how the culture has shifted within the game. And again, I'm curious to see. This doesn't seem like it's going away. Okay. And the team has been very decentralization maximalists when it comes to it. So if that's the case, in order to eat up a lot of these extra cards, do people start setting up bot accounts in bronze and silver, maybe gold, right? Where they will just take all the extra cards that they got on discount, everybody who's buying the dip, taking advantage of the opportunity with the end of year sale. And are we going to see more accounts pop up that are botted? We have more services now. It was Archmage over the summer, then we had Splintermate as well. Now we have XBot, and I'm sure there might be other botting services in the works or on the way. So again, I don't know what this looks like. I just think it's funny because the culture has so dramatically shifted. But as we do get into certain things within the game that the team is trying to go towards, and a big one of that being soulbound reward cards, again, I think there is an incentive to bot still for soulbound reward cards, but if there's less and less financial incentive, I'm curious to see how that shift back and forth will be, right? If it's about achievements and it's about things that only human players will want to take advantage of and to feel the pride of, right? To flex over the rest of the community and their friends. Obviously, I don't think bots would really care about that, but I know that the team wants to move in that direction. Weirdbeard has been championing it. Matt with the Soulbound reward cards is trying to reduce the amount of earnings, been more focused more on stuff that gives the accounts non-financial value. But it doesn't seem like the botting is going to slow down anytime soon. And if anything, right, like 40% is way more people botting or bots per person. I guess we should put, no, that's not the best way to look at it. The total amount of botting people, because those bot farms can skew the averages. So again, I'm just sharing this with you. I want to get your thoughts though. Like, how has your perspective shifted when it comes to the bot conversation? Again, I was somebody that in the beginning, I wasn't really following it. I saw Gank talking about it. I saw Tails talking about it. All of a sudden I realized, like, wait a second, this might be a serious issue. And then it was kind of addressed with the ranked rewards change in May, and the subsequent changes that happened after that. But I started botting my own account. I have the Aftersound YT account, which is botted as well. If you've heard Darkest Night, who's come on here, he tends to go between bot neutral and bot positive because he thinks that botting his account has given him his life back, right? So I'm curious to see and hear your perspectives. I know mine. I've heard Darkest Nights. I've heard several other folks, but I want to know where your thinking is with this. So how has your perspective when it comes to botting shifted over the last 8 months? And where do you think that culture, when it comes to botting within this game, is going to go over the next, we'll call it 6 to 12 months? So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll continue the conversation there. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.